Hello and welcome to the show. This week's FailRace versus the community. We would go racing with, well, an open A-class. That means many interesting selections of vehicles going on in this. Yes, you did spot a rally fighter that was leading the way here. Our first race, we would head to the Spa circuit, a track we've tended not to necessarily run too often in these events. But with the faster A-class cars, figured we would go to here for a little bit of a change. I was running a Mustang. It turned out to be a very, very good handling car. Straight line speed, not quite there to match the Porsche F1 car. However, over the course of the lap, yeah, I was actually really happy with the way my Mustang was working. I have a big look up the inside of a BMW M3 at the end of the straight as they're 4 wide further back, everybody making it through the chicane on the first lap. The BMW made me work for the position. We were side by side for a couple of corners, though eventually just the superior grip of the Mustang there would prevail. Camaro has a big dive up the inside towards the next one. Of course, as soon as I've opened the door on that BMW, when there's another car vaguely within range, they're going to want to try and follow through. The Porsche, while very quick down the straight, with a handful through the corner, you see it wiggle its way off towards the entire bundle through that. Now, one of the reasons why I tend not to run Spa too often is you could often end up with a rather spread out race with not a huge amount going on. That was not the case today. That was really not the case today. Further back, I mean, this was for fighting around about, I think, 8th place back. There was so many changes of position going on here. Quite how you kept track of where you were, God knows. Because there was 3 or 4 cars in every little bit of tarmac vying for whatever position it might be. The 2 Hondas getting themselves into a little bit of trouble on the exit. The S2000 having to grab the brake, almost ending up on the grass as they were all ploughing down towards the hairpin. The 2 Vipers getting involved. The Viper we're on board with, trying to sort of hug the inside of the first part. It's all a bit, well, 7 cars into one bit of tarmac. Doesn't quite pan out for the NSX, but again, on the most part, everybody making it through, certainly without any big, heavy crashes. The NSX loses a few positions, but can get the car pointing back in the right direction. A huge number of cars trying to fit into Turn 1. The Ariel Atom ends up out very wide, losing a position to the Ford GT. There's a Pontiac Firebird involved in all. It was mayhem. It was absolute mayhem back there. The Rally Fighters' early lead would gradually be eroded past by the Porsche and by the 250 GTO. It was then my Mustang's turn to look for a way past. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the Rally Fighter, not quite as strong as some of these more sensible race cars here. My Mustang able to sweep around the outside. However, truth be told, it was doing far better than I ever expected. It was actually, holding some pretty damn decent pace around this Spa circuit. My Mustang keen to try and not lose sight of the Porsche, chasing down the Ferrari through these final few corners. With the 250 GTO a little bit wide, I thought I might possibly spot an opportunity. The downside, for me at least, the Ferrari was very quick down the straights, and while I was much quicker through the corners and over the course of the lap, my Mustang was the quicker car. It's not always so easy to get in a position to try and overtake. I wanted to try and get a good run out of this final turn. While all that had been going on, the BMW had passed the Rally Fighter, and that was now up behind me. The Camaro was the next one to try and get past the big off-road racing truck. I annoyingly outbraked myself into Turn 1, giving the BMW a very nice opportunity. I can still carry good speed on that wider line. In the end, though, the M6 just too fast, accelerating as we head up through Eau Rouge over towards Raidillon. Now, this is where the Mustang was good. You can see the amount of speed I can carry at that section. The BMW just can't quite hold that sort of speed. I can get a very good run onto the straight, but then I've not quite got anywhere to use it. My Mustang actually also had terrible gear ratios. Fifth was useless, so I basically had a 4-speed Mustang. Still very quick, though. Still very quick indeed. While further back did spread out a little bit, it was still plenty busy for everyone involved. This Civic, well, this was a fight for about 16th place going on here. This Civic was having a look up the inside of the Viper, couldn't quite get the pass done. I think ended up giving the Viper a little bit of a brush, slows the Civic down, and there's another Mustang immediately there to try and find a way past. The Ford still looking to the outside, although that's a tough manoeuvre to go. In the end, the Mustang falling back into line. The Viper just pushed it a fraction too hard. Easy mistake to make at that particular part of the circuit. If you've driven Spa, you'll probably have ended up in that gravel trap a good few times. and you lose 2 places. When everybody's running that close, a little mistake and you're going to lose places, as a Cadillac was going to find out. The wide-body Cadillac outbraked himself into the final corner completely on his own, and then is immediately under pressure by the Nissan. Nissan with a huge amount of straight line speed, able to get to the inside line in towards this first corner. Now the Cadillac has got excellent grip, and it's a tough place to hold a position on the outside at that turn 1. Cadillac does, but then can't beat the Nissan down towards Eau Rouge, so you're going to just have to sit and fall in line. And when you've got the handling car, it's quite difficult to kind of maximise your run through that section of track, because, well, there's going to be a car ahead of you that's having to slow down more than you. The Cadillac does a good job. You know, it stays right there, much like I was getting. It gets a good run off the top. Can't quite do anything necessarily down this straight, although is close enough, is brave enough to try around the outside of the first part. However, you're then stuck on the Nissan gets himself on the inside for the next corner. The Cadillac won't quite make that. Goes for the cutback for the much preferred line down towards this next turn. The Skyline still not giving up. The Skyline's still not giving up on that wide line. And again, while it is a long way, if you can hold the outside, you'll probably find yourself on the inside for the next corner. The Nissan tried everything it could. In the end, just not quite able. A great little exchange between the pair of them there, as the BMW, unfortunately, a couple of cars up the front would be involved in a bit of a laggy, spinny shunt, and they would drop back. The Porsche would go on to lead the race, although not without some peculiarities on this closing lap. Yeah, you might have already spotted some weirdness going on with the driver on the replay here. Never seen it happen before, but he's going for a new seating position in his Formula 1 car. I don't know. I really don't know what's going on with the driver model in this car. And only this particular lap. Never saw it happen at any other point. But there we go. Yeah, once the Porsche got to the lead, once the rest of us further back started battling each other a little bit too much. Like, in terms of lap time, my Mustang fairly comparable. In fact, a few of us fairly comparable. Porsche, though, very quick down the straights. Even if I had been with it, I'm not sure I could have found a way past in the end. Certainly not without the Porsche making a little bit of a mistake somewhere. Good victory for the classic F1 car. I would end up in second, and with the Camaro and BMW, Ferrari coming together a bit, the Rally Fighter amazingly would take a podium. TOS Westmeister taking that victory. Me second, BM Entice doing a great job with the Rally Fighter to get a podium. Race number 2, and we would head to the Hockenheim full circuit. I get a good launch in my Mustang, almost going 3 wide through this first corner. It's a sketchy corner, going 3 wide in all of that. Well, I say 3 wide at the end of the Porsche, not quite wanting to be stuck on the outside of the 3 wide. In the end, just out dragging me down towards the second corner. Again, very, very hectic start in all of this. How often starts to races are, but for some reason, certainly this lot, we seem to be having a lot of cars trying to fit into very small pieces of tarmac. Doing a very good job of keeping all of the cars in a very small piece of tarmac. Like, up towards the hairpin here, there was nowhere really to attack when I was as far back as I was, because they're just 3 and 4 wide already into the hairpin, and I'm not going to try and get involved in that. The purple Mustang, I think, got a wheel caught on the curb on the grass, got spat sideways across the circuit. I had to have a huge brake to try and not run into the back of it. Again, while he wheeled his way across the circuit in front of us, everybody managed to avoid collecting the car. The Porsche got a big wobble. I think it pinged off the side of somebody else's car, spat across the circuit. Again, everybody managed to avoid it collecting that car. Didn't get broken, but would have a bit of a recovery drive to be doing. It was a big, angry pack of cars at the front of this race as we headed around to end the first lap. But that did mean plenty of close racing to be going on. Now, we actually had 3 different generations of Mustang in this particular race. The white car leading the way here, trying to fend off from a classic muscle car while being caught by a Ford GT40. You know, it's just, the weird collection of cars that you have go racing in open A-class events are good fun, and especially the amount that were actually being made to go pretty damn fast. pretty damn fast indeed. The Mustang, while having been passed by, well, almost the pair of them, would have the straight line speed advantage. At Hockenheim, yeah, having that speed can be very helpful. It means you can defend or you can sort of repass down these, well, kind of two longish straights. However, the Mustang will use all of its, well, strengths, if you like, in this little section. The GT40 tries to get to the inside at the hairpin. When he keeps his car there, but is unable to really hold on to the place with that Mustang's acceleration. However, yeah, the lead Ford here is now out of its preferred areas on the circuit. The GT40 going to be brave around the outside. If you can hold it there, you will be on the inside for the next turn, and indeed that was the plan for the GT40, and that would make the pass work. The Mustang just not got the grip to fight on the outside of that particular corner. Now, at the front, it was, well, balmy. There were 3 more cars in this group. Me, another Mustang, and a BMW were also in this group. Unfortunately, a bump from behind fired a BMW into the pair of the Mustangs, and we were all broken and had to take a trip to the pits. So this was the slightly calmer, I guess, outcome of the lead battle. Yeah, it was very busy here at Hockenheim. Now, the M5 was probably not the fastest car in this group around that. In fact, wasn't the fastest car in this group around a lap. The problem that the group was finding, the M5 was very quick down the straights, and the group was so busy fighting one another for second that no one could quite get into a position to try and fight the M5. Yeah, it happens with these races. When you're so busy fighting one another further back, you're giving that leader a constant respite. They're so busy battling, and the Nissan lost 2 places, regained 2 places in the space of about 4 corners. The Corvette had no real straight line speed, but was a monster when it came to the turns. The GT40 is now trying to regain the positions it has lost up towards the hairpin. We go once more as the M5 can again take the hairpin without having anybody trying to find a way past. They're 3 wide on the exit almost. The GT40 would get the drive. The Nissan is going to fall back behind the BMW and the Ford, as the black and grey car would get the pass complete. Now the Corvette's coming to join in. The Porsche had done an excellent recovery drive up towards this group. They're 3 wide towards this next turn. This time it's the Corvette having a look on the inside, but doesn't quite have the acceleration to fight them on the way off of it. And this has given the Ford a little bit of a breather. The GT40 gone chasing after that BMW. The battle for not last was pretty damn exciting as well. With all 3 of us having taken damage, all 3 of us had to go to the pits, and all 3 of us in very, very quick cars. You know, this group of vehicles was some of the fastest on the track. But after the pit stop, we were dumped to the back and, well, proceeded to have some fun with the racing. The M6, perhaps a little quicker than both of the Fords, certainly got the move done around the outside at the hairpin. I was busy looking to see if I could possibly stand a chance of overtaking the Mustang ahead. Yeah, the M6 was mighty quick. The BMW was mighty quick indeed, although through the next couple of turns was where my Mustang was perhaps a little bit stronger, but not quite able to have a look through there. At the end of the day, yeah, sure, it sucks that we were knocked out slightly of a battle at the front. You know, this wasn't a battle for the podium, but it was a good battle regardless. In the end, the poor BMW, having finally got past my Mustang, got a wobble on the way through a fast left-hander, ran wide, clipped the dirt, and that was that. Again, another place, things could easily go wrong for cars. Back towards this front group, and guess what? The big old fight for second place was allowing the M5 to run away again. The GT40 made a little mistake, dropped back into the clutches of this group. The Porsche was now coming to join in. The Porsche, with its monstrous straight line speed, soars past the Corvette, tries to go up the middle between the BMW and the Nissan. Ford got too brave under brakes at the hairpin, ending up out wide, and the too many cars on the exit. I think they might be 3 wide on the exit at some point. The Porsche gets the inside of the Ford. They're almost 3 wide at a place where 2 wide is sketchy. The Ford very, very sideways. It manages to keep it on the track. Still the Porsche is there on the outside. BMW's having a look on the inside. Not quite going to... you can get to the inside on the... kind of on the exit. You have to go the long way around to the next corner. The Porsche does have that mighty acceleration. I was expecting the Porsche to just soar back past. Couldn't quite do it. Now the Corvette's the one being brave around the outside of the Porsche. The Porsche had done an amazing job catching up to this group, and as soon as he gets to this group, you just hit a wall of traffic. and this is the wall of traffic that was allowing the M5 to continue the lead fairly unchallenged, although the Nissan had finally broken free, and it was the Nissan up the inside into the penultimate corner that would finally be a car getting an overtake completed. As soon as the Nissan had a brief window of opportunity, it was past. It's all it took, but trying to get that window of opportunity was far from easy. Further back, this was actually a battle that raged on for the entire race between a Jaguar F-Type and a Subaru BRZ. The F-Type, every lap, would outdrag the BRZ down the straight up towards the hairpin, and the Subaru would be a little bit too far back to really try too much. He does have a go at the inside. Again, he's going to get outdragged on the exit of the corner. I think this is for around 11th place. The Jag will get the pass done there. Will then outdrag down towards the next couple of corners, but the Subaru was then faster through the stadium section. In fact, this lap around, immediately faster, had a dive up the inside, would get the pass up, and they changed position almost every lap in fairly similar matters. The Corvette, you just saw there, clip the tyre bundle on the inside, that would spin him round and drop him down the order. It had been a mad race, an absolutely bonkers race at the front. In the end, it would be the Nissan that would go on to take victory, having had that brief moment, that brief opportunity to get past the BMW on his own, unassisted by all of the other angry cars trying to get up through the order. Yeah, the Nissan would go on to take victory. The Porsche would come out of the mayhem very, very well, considering it was backwards, almost backwards on the opening lap, to get a second with the GT40 up in third. Would love to have seen what our Mustangs and M6 and so on could have done in that battle, but we had a good fun battle further back, so there we go. To the podium, TUS Hawes would take victory, Westreiser in second, with Invisible AK rounding out the top three. Our third and final race, we would head to the Nürburgring GP circuit. Now, turn one here is always a tough one. You've got a fairly long straight, and certainly you start further back, you are travelling very quick by the time you get to the turn one hairpin. But, once again, while there was a Focus outbraked himself and ended up on the gravel out completely on his own, again, a lovely, nice, clean start for everybody here. A Donkervoort would be leading the way in this one. Of course, Donkervoort very, very capable when it comes to the turns, but when it comes to the straights, you're always likely to be a little bit vulnerable. The front group able to make a good start, able to make a little bit of a breakaway, and again, being able to stay, or be able to run in clean air, being able to run away from the very big angry battles that were likely to form was helpful. I started at the back to my usual Forza starting position when we come to random grids. Forza doesn't like me when it comes to to random grids, so I had a lot of overtaking to do with my Mustang. Thankfully, again, it was another circuit that my car was strong at. I think my Mustang was a very, very good overall car, in fact. So I was kind of looking forward to the chance of making my way through the field, but I knew a victory was never going to happen. When you start, 20th, 24th place, there's so many cars to try and overtake, you're just not going to be able to get a victory, but you will have a lot of action along the way. My opportunity, well, a Pontiac runs a little bit wide. I'm, going to say thank you very much and get that pass completed. But once I've got that done, immediately, ahead of me, there's GT40s fighting with an Aerial Atom. There's a Nissan, ended up outbraking himself a little bit, gets stuck out wide. I get a good run, actually, out of the chicane, but it's trying to go around the outside of a GT40 at the final corner. That's always going to be a tough one with that Ford. Had pretty good straight. I actually expected the GT40 to just fly away from me down the straight. Had pretty good straight line speed, fairly evenly matched between the pair of us. But again, I'm still stuck having to try and go the long way around into turn one. I'll give it a try, because if you can stick it around the outside of turn one, you'll be on the inside for turn two, but not quite good enough for me. Back up towards the front, the Skyline would take a lead. The Donkervoort was, as expected, unbelievably fast when it came to the corners. The problem is, as soon as you got out of the corners, it got outdragged by just about everything. So the Nissan is back past again, and then we're under brakes. So the Donkervoort will continue to go around the outside. We've got to try and carry enough speed through the corners that you can be far enough away from the Nissan when it came to a short straight. And this time around, not quite for the Donkervoort as they head up towards the S's. The Donkervoort a little bit too keen to try and sneak up the inside of the Nissan. In doing that, loses a sort of any sort of momentum out of that corner. Again, much as we'd seen all day with this, which was, you know, very good news, it was manic everywhere in the field. Absolutely manic throughout the pack. A very, very large orange, slightly glitched livery orange Daytona was battling with a BRZ as a Nissan came to join the lot of them. 3 wide through the incredibly fast left-hander, and amazingly everybody even kept it on the road. Normally 3 wide does not end well at that corner. Very rarely does 3 wide end well at that corner. Well done for keeping it clean through all of that. The Daytona ends up being a bit slow out of the chicane, losing the positions to the BRZ and to the Nissan and NSX, catching this little group as they fight. The Nissan, with a huge amount of acceleration out of that final corner, was going to draw along the inside of the BRZ. And the Daytona would be quicker down this straight than the BRZ as well as they head towards turn 1. The Nissan making the most of his opportunities. BRZ with the wheel on the grass. She almost loses the back end. Just manages to hold on to it. Big slide from the Nissan there as they were almost going 3 wide again into the second corner. Think better of it. Probably a wise decision not to try and fit 3 cars into another very small space. The Daytona still looking for a way past. Can't quite make it. Has a bit of a fire up the inside. Sometimes being on the outside line is actually helpful around that corner. The BRZ though gets a wheel caught on the grass, or just slow your run down towards this next section, and still the Daytona can't get the pass done. The BRZ will get across and be able to defend into the next corner. I was struggling in traffic, trying to make my way up. Again, as I said, good fun racing, not good for progress forwards. Coming up against an Ariel Atom and a Land Rover. For those wondering how the Atom is actually down in A class, with the engine restrictions, with the aero taken off and so on, you can drop the PI enough in that car to get it into A class. I, had an opportunity, was quick off of the chicane, got my Mustang to the inside. Of course, I'm going up against a lightweight track car. Funnily enough, lightweight track cars, very good around corners, and the Ariel will be able to fend off the Mustang around the outside. And as much as I wanted to outdrag it, as much as I wanted to dive to the inside at turn 1, there was no Land Rover in the way. So we had to try and go 3 wide into the first corner. Was it going to go around the outside of 2 of them? In the end, opting to go for a cutback to the inside on the exit, but the Land Rover very, very quick accelerating. The Ariel Atom was finding that as well, as the Land Rover retakes the place from the Atom. Not a very usual thing you say, but for a FailRace video, fairly every day. Mustang now still looking. You know, it's costing me half a lap because I can't pass. I've got a quick car over the course of the lap, probably quicker than the 2 ahead, but I can't pass them when they start busy fighting one another. They start fighting one another. They're both slower. Yeah, you can get ensnared in traffic very, very easily in this. As I said, good fun racing. You know, you're constantly looking for a way past. You know, you've got cars to race with. Making progress through the field is a little bit tougher. There were more massive groups of cars fighting for position in this one. And this, I think, would end up being around and about the 10th place that these guys would be tussling for. The poor Pontiac gets into a little bit of trouble, gets stuck out wide, and just the whole raft of cars want to come through. Now, I mean, sometimes when we run higher class racing, you get the field spread out. In this, all 3 races, you know, all 3 different groups of drivers, different selection of drivers and so on, still had these massively crazy midfields, and sometimes further back than midfields, which I think is a sign of a good session. And yeah, a huge variety of cars. We've got Fairlady Z leading this group, a classic Ferrari, a Pontiac's involved. There was a Daytona until he ran wide, put a wheel on the dirt, and dropped back. There's a Subaru BRZ and an NSX further back in all of this as well. It's, yeah, huge variety of cars, everyone running closely. This time it is the Ferrari that goes for, well, certainly my preferred line at this particular corner. You can get such a good exit when you're on that wider approach. The Ferrari with a good run. The Pontiac, though, with a lot of straight line speed. The Nissan struggling, and the end, seeing what was going on, decided probably for the best to just back out and fall back into line. A good pass by the Pontiac, though, making that work. Well, initially 3 wide. It does go back down to 2 wide with him against the Ferrari, but yeah, good pass around the outside on the run into that section as they head up towards the hairpin. It was manic. At the front, the lead 3 would make a little bit of a breakaway. 2 BMWs going side by side through. that fast right-hander in the M2. Well, M2 is showing how that is a very difficult corner to go too wide at when you are on the outside. The M6 making his way up into second place. Yeah, try and go 2 cars wide through there is not the easiest thing. When you're stuck on the outside, just ask that fraction too much of your vehicle. You're skating across the grass. So yeah, fitting 3 cars there is damn good going. As we headed on to the final lap, the Nissan was coming under increasing pressure from that M6. The M6 was, again, monstrously fast. However, the Nissan did only have 1 lap to try and fend it off as they head in towards the chicane. The BMW is on the outside. They get connected. The front of the BMW stuck on the rear of the Nissan, and neither car can turn when you have those sort of low-speed, slight nudges. The BMW has to go and grab the brakes and fall back into line as the Nissan does get the car around the chicane. The M2 is caught up massively from that, but isn't quite within range. The M6 tried everything. You know, he had to have a go in those closing couple of corners, but couldn't quite do it. The Nissan would take a victory in all of this. Further back continued to be very busy for everybody involved. The fight for 5th place, the Shelby Cobra was desperately trying to fend off 2 Fords. I'd finally worked my way through the pack, looking for a way past the GT40, who was looking for a way past the Shelby as we headed on to the back straight. Big slipstream train. There was, well, 2 more chances, 1 good one into the chicane. The GT40 doesn't really cover the inside as much as I was expecting him to. I'm going to have a try with the Mustang, although the GT40 does have the inside for the exit of the chicane, although makes a hash of it, makes a mistake on his own. A big wiggle as he got on the power, just saw the car out wide. He's going to lose 2 places as well, with the Ariane Atom sneaking its way up the inside. Yeah, a frantic race with the Mustang. Quite good fun. Quite good fun in all of that. On to the podium. Well, the podium screen was a little bit wonky. It was Ray Gliska that took victory, fending off Kieran in that closing lap with EVR Liam T in 3rd with the BMW M2. Overall, a really quite good evening. There was a lot going on in all of the races, which is nice to see, especially racing, you know, the faster cars and the more open rule set, an interesting variety of vehicles. Some going very quickly, some struggling a little bit more. But yeah, it was very good fun. I like my SVT Cobra. It was a very good car. It's a very good overall car. It had excellent handling. Was able to carry a lot of quarter speed. Pretty damn good down the straights as well. Okay, it wasn't the absolute strongest in each sector, in either section, but overall it did work very well. Made it a very competitive car. I got a little bit unlucky in places, got stuck in traffic and so on, but overall, as far as A-class cars go, that SVT Mustang is a very good vehicle. Very good vehicle indeed. That, though, is going to be it for this video. The next FailRace versus the Community is going to be on Thursday, the 29th of March. We're going to go racing with an open B-Class. However, the cars must be fitted with race tyres, which means they're going to be very grippy, but actually kind of getting B-Class cars to work with with race tyres. Normally I would go with, you know, big lower compound tyres and so on, but it should be interesting. Should have a lot of grip. Should have an awful lot of grip. Not much straight line speed probably from most of them, but hopefully will prove to be as interesting as this week. That, though, is going to be it from me. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.